Ah, this book. Ah, this is for Thailand. This is chapter 4 of a book. I already forgot the name of it. Searching for Dragons. I almost said the book chapter 4 of Enchanted Forest. It's called In Which a Wizard Pays a Visit. When Mandabar got back to the castle, the first person he saw was Willen standing in the doorway looking relieved. By the time Mandabar got within earshot, however, the elf's expression had changed to a ferocious scowl. "I'm happy to see your majesty has returned safely," Willen said stiffly. "I was about to send a party out to search for you. Willen, that's ridiculous." Mandabar broke off as his brain caught up with him. Willen might fuss and complain about the king playing hooky, but he wouldn't send someone out looking for him without more reason than irritation. "What's happened? Oh no." Willen unbent very slightly. "Your majesty has an unexpected visitor," He paused. "At least, I presume he is unexpected." "Don't frown at me like that," Mindenbar said. "I certainly didn't expect anyone. If I had, I'd have told you." "So I had assumed," Willen said, relaxing a little more. "And since your majesty is not forgetful in the normal way of things..." Oh, shit. "I felt sure you would not have left the palace so precipitously if you had had an appointment." "Who is it?" Mendenbar asked. "Not another complaint from the Dark Morning Elves, I hope. If it is, you can tell them I won't see them. I've had enough of their whining, and I've got more important things to attend to right now." "No," said... "Oh, no," Willen said. "It's Zeminar." "Boo!" Hissing and booing. "The head wizard of the Society of Wizards." "Oh, Lord," Mendenbar said. He'd only met the head wizard once before, at his coronation 3 years earlier, and he hadn't liked the man much. Still, the Society of Wizards was a powerful group, and its members were not the sort of people who it was a good idea to offend. He ran a hand distractedly through his hair. "How long has he been waiting? What does he want?" "He's only been here for a few minutes," Willen reassured him. The elf's frown returned. "He refused to tell me his business, Your Majesty. He said it was a matter for Your Majesty's ears alone." "He would." Bart muttered. "As I recall, he's got an exaggerated idea of his own importance." "Your Majesty," said Willen, clearly shocked by such plain speaking, "the head wizard of the Society of Wizards is a person of great distinction." "He certainly thinks so," Mendenbar said. "Oh, don't worry, I won't say anything improper when I'm talking to him. Where is he?" "I asked him to wait in the maid audience chamber." "Good. I'll go see what he wants. You take these down to the kitchen." Mendenbar handed Morwen's jugs of cider to Willen. The elf blinked in puzzled surprise. Before Willen had time to collect himself, Mendenbar grabbed a handful of magic and twisted hard. The courtyard faded into white mist. An instant later, the mist evaporated, leaving Mendenbar standing in the middle of his study. The wooden gargoyle at the corner immediately began shouting at him. You've got a lot of nerve waltzing in as if nothing's happened. I bet you thought that trick with the soapy water was funny. You'll be sorry for it when your wood up here starts to rot from the damp. You wait and see." "That's why you're there," Mendenbar said as he set the book Morwen had given him on the desk. "You're supposed to let us know if the wood starts to go bad or gets termites, so we can fix it before the castle falls apart. And look at all the thanks that I get," the gargoyle complained. "Water in my ears and soap in my eyes. How do you expect me to do my job if I can't see?" This is the most dramatic gargoyle ever. Mendenbar listened with half an ear while he rummaged through the desk. The gold circlet he wore for official business was in the bottom drawer under a pile of old envelopes and out-of-date invitations to balls. That's where he keeps his crown. Oh, my God. Out-of-date invitations to balls, dinners, birthday parties, cricket games, and teas. And, yeah, as he put the circlet on, Mendenbar frowned at the drawer, wondering why he was saving all that useless paper. He resolved for the 100th time that week to clean everything out someday soon. Shoved the drawer closed and glanced around to make sure he hadn't forgotten anything. "Are you listening to me?" the gargoyle yelled. "Of course not," Mendenbar said. "I never do when you're being insulting." "Insulting? You want insulting? I'll give you insulting. You always dress funny. You've got feet like an elephant. Your nose is too big and your ears stick out." "Not much compared to yours," said Mendenbar cheerfully as he crossed to the door. "Stop grousing. If you can see my nose from up where you are, there's nothing wrong with your eyes." "Your hair is a bird's nest," the gargoyle shouted just before the door closed behind Mendenbar. "A bird's nest, do you hear me?" Mendenbar rolled his eyes and headed down the corridor toward the main audience chamber. He supposed he would have to apologize to the gargoyles sooner or later, unless he could figure out a way to muffle the noise while he worked. Maybe he could enchant a pair of earplugs to keep out the gargoyle's voice and nothing else. A spell that specific would be tricky, but it would be worth it just to see the gargoyle's face when it realized Mendenbar didn't mind its chatter. Mendenbar smiled and pushed open the rear door of the audience chamber. Zeminar turned as Mendenbar entered, and the blue and gray robes he wore flared out around him. His face was just as sharp and angular as Mendenbar remembered. Giving Mendenbar a long, appraising look, Zeminar bowed his head in greeting. "Your Majesty?" "Welcome, head wizard," Mendenbar said, bowing slightly in return. Something tugged gently at his mind, distracting him. The strands of magic, which were particularly plentiful inside the castle, were drifting slowly toward the staff Zeminar carried. Mm. In another minute or two, they would begin winding around Zeminar's staff like thread winding onto a spool. Before long, the wizard's staff would absorb them, leaving a tangled knot in the orderly net of magic, and Minibar would have to spend hours straightening it out later. It happened every time a wizard came to the enchanted forest, and it was very inconvenient. Minibar had gotten tired of asking wizards to keep their staffs from soaking up magic. They hardly ever understood what he was talking about, and if he did manage to make it clear, they generally got upset and indignant. Oh, I hate the wizard, which is I love that about the first book in this one too. None of the wizards are good people. They're all just terrible. And they're all dudes. We're terrible. Spoiler alert, dudes, we're terrible. He didn't want to upset the head wizard of the Society of Wizards, but he didn't want to spend his afternoon cleaning up a magical mess in the middle of his castle. He reached out with a mental hand and nudged the invisible cords away from the staff. Zeminar didn't seem to notice. "I've come to see you about a matter of much urgency to the Society of Wizards," he said, stroking his long gray beard portentously. "I hope you will be willing to assist us." "That depends on what kind of help you are asking for," Penenbar replied. "There are some things I won't do and a few that I can't. I'm sure you understand." "Entirely," Zeminar said, though he sounded a little put out, as if he had hoped to get Mendebar to agree quickly without asking any awkward questions. Mendebar felt like rolling his eyes in exasperation. Everybody who lived in the Enchanted Forest knew better than to make a promise without knowing what they were promising. Did this wizard think that Mendebar was stupid just because he was young? "We in the Society of Wizards have been having a great deal of difficulty recently with the dragons in the Mountains of Mourning," Zeminar went on. "That is the root of the problem." "I don't think I can help you with the dragons," Mendebar said. The strands of magic were drifting toward the wizard's staff again. He gave them another nudge. "The Mountains of Mourning aren't part of the Enchanted Forest, so I can't just order the dragons to behave. If you are having trouble with elves now, I might be able to—" "Naturally, we don't wish to involve you in our dispute," Zeminar interrupted smoothly. "However—" Of course there's a however. "One of the results of our quarrel is that the King of the Dragons has cut off the Society's access to the Caves of Fire and Night." "Which you did. That was your fault. That's your fault. All of it's your fault. Everything ever." "I still don't see. The caves are the source of many of the ingredients we use in our spells," Zeminar broke in once more. They are also the only place it is possible to make certain items we need for our research." He paused and blinked, fingering his staff with one hand as if though there might be a rough spot somewhere along and he was trying to find it without attracting attention. "We, the Society of Wizards, must have some way of entering the caves." "Go on." Mendebar tried not to sound as irritated as he felt. He did not like Zeminar's lecturing tone. He was tired of being interrupted, and he still did not see what the Society's dispute with the dragons had to do with him. On top of that, the invisible threads of magic were moving towards Zeminar's staff again, almost as if something were sucking them in. Mendebar yanked at them hard, wishing he could have done the same to the head wizard. "This is where you come in, Your Majesty," Zeminar said. He sounded vaguely confused, as if he were trying to concentrate on two things at once, because he's concentrating on stealing magic. "You could be of great use, that is, you could help us enormously." "How?" The strands of magic were gliding toward the staff more quickly than ever. Mendebar could see that if he kept pulling at them, he would soon be unable to pay attention to anything else. He thought for a moment, while Zeminar rambled, and then took hold of a fat, invisible cord, and with a swift gesture threw it in a loop around Zeminar. The loop hovered 3 feet away from the head wizard in all directions, spinning slowly. Other cords floated toward it and glanced off before they came anywhere near Zeminar or his staff. Mendebar smiled slightly. The head wizard broke off his speech in mid-sentence. "What was that?" he demanded. "I beg your pardon," Mendebar said with dignity. "As a rule of the Enchanted Forest, there are sometimes matters that require my immediate attention. I have dealt with this one." Zeminar frowned, plainly taken aback. "You have, but I didn't sense any spell—" He stopped short, staring at Mendebar in consternation. "You would not," Mendebar said in an offhand manner. Inwardly he smiled. Apparently wizards could feel normal spellcasting, but they could not sense Mendebar's way of doing magic. He wondered why no one had ever mentioned it. Undetectable spells could be a big advantage if he ever had trouble with the Society of Wizards. It was not exactly a spell, just something to do with the forest forces. It need not concern you. "Of course, Your Majesty," Zeminar said after a long pause. "If I may continue?" "Please do." "What we are asking is that you allow the wizards of our society to enter the Caves of Fire and Night from the Enchanted Forest," Zeminar said. "There was a way in somewhere along your eastern border, I believe." "Yes, but it doesn't stay put," Mendenbar pointed out. "Nothing in the Enchanted Forest does, at least not for long. It's always in the same general area, though," Zeminar said confidently. "We're willing to take whatever time is needed to find it." Mendenbar thought of the enormous number of knots and tangles that the wizards would cause while they wandered around looking for an entrance to the caves, and could barely suppress a shudder. "What about the dragons?" "If you have no authority over them, they can have none over your gateway in the Caves of Fire and Night," Zeminar said, watching Mendenbar closely with his hard, bright eyes. That's not what I meant." Mendenbar paused, pretending to consider. "I think I must refuse your request temporarily, at least," he said, in as judicious as a tone as he could manage. "I have certain differences of my own to settle with the King of the Dragons at the moment. From what you say, the dragons would object if I let your wizards into the caves of fire and night, and I do not want to make my discussion with them any more difficult than it is likely to be already. I hope you understand." Ah, a fleeting expression of satisfaction flicked across Feminar's face. "I am sorry to hear that you too are having trouble with dragons. I hope you will be able to settle things suitably. They are sly creatures, you know, and one can never tell what they are thinking." I'm guessing that look of satisfaction is him. I'm Seminar probably faked the dragon scale thing, or I don't know. That's my guess. Seminar's involved, because I hate him. The same thing could be said about the head wizard of the Society of Wizards, thought Mendibar. "Thank you for your kind wishes," he said aloud. "If you would like our assistance, the Society of Wizards would be happy to advise you," Seminar said, with a smile. "We have a great deal of experience with dragons over the years. Yeah, being bigots to them." "I appreciate the offer," Mendenbar replied cautiously. He did not want to offend the head wizard, but he doubted that the wizard's advice would help him much. After all, they seemed to be having more trouble with dragons than he was. "Have you met the new King of the Dragons, or her princess?" the head wizard went on. "No, Princess?" Mendenbar forgot his misgivings in a wave of surprised dismay. "The King of the Dragons has a princess?" "She does indeed," Seminar said. There was a faint frown in his eyes, and his fingers were stroking his staff again. "She's a real troublemaker, too. The princess, I mean. Our misunderstanding with the dragons is all her fault." "Oh, Lord," Mendenbar said. He raised a hand to run his fingers through his hair and remembered just in time that he was wearing a circlet. "And King Kazul listens to her?" "Certainly. Most of the dragons do now. Cimmerian is quite the power behind the throne in the Mountains of Morning." "Yeah, that's right." There was a sneer in Zeminar's voice, along with a good deal of suppressed anger. Mendenbar couldn't blame him. He'd had enough trouble with princesses himself to know the type. "Oh, you have no idea." Now I'm getting an interesting idea. Is meeting Cimmerian, is that going to change Zeminar's idea of what princesses are? Because he's kind of a bigot, too, when it comes to princesses. Cimmerian must be one of those beautiful, empty-headed, ambitious boors whose only talents were the ability to stare innocently with their blue eyes and a knack for wrapping people, or in Cimmerian's case, dragons, around their fragile fingers. Ugh. Everything he says is so sexist. She was probably too stupid to realize how much trouble her manipulations cause. But if she did notice, she'd probably like having the power to produce turmoil. Lord Mendenbar repeated. Why hadn't Morwen warned him? Well, he had to talk to Kazul one way or another. Perhaps Morwen had heard about his aversion to princesses and hadn't wanted to give him any reason to put off his visit. Mendenbar looked at Zeminar completely in charity with the wizard for the first time. "Thank you for telling me." "You're very welcome," Zeminar said. "You will let me know how things go, won't you? And do remember that the Society of Wizards will be happy to give you whatever help you may need. It's in our own interest, after all. The sooner you get this little matter settled, the sooner you'll be able to reconsider our request about the Caves of Fire and Night." "Yes, certainly," Mendenbar said. "Is that all, then? I'll have Willen show you out." "That won't be necessary." Zeminar gave Mendenbar a smile that set Mendenbar's teeth on edge. "I am a wizard, after all. Good day, Your Majesty." Zeminar bowed and was suddenly and completely gone. No, not completely. Mendenbar could feel a lump of magic in the center of a looping spell where Zeminar had been standing. Mendenbar frowned. He might appreciate Zeminar's warning about Kazul's princess, but there was no reason for the wizard to go leaving leftover bits of magic in his castle. Mendenbar reached for the loop to undo it and paused. As long as he was at home, he might as well do this the easy way. He twitched a different strand of magic, and the audience chamber dissolved around him. He materialized in the cool darkness of the castle armory. Lighting the wall torches with another twitch of the magic threads, he looked around. Willen had been hard at work since the last time Mendenbar had visited the armory. Most of the swords and shields that had been piled in one corner or another were now hanging in neat pairs on the walls. Extra swords, spears, maces, lances, and knives hung in closely spaced rows higher up. The effect was almost decorative. Mendenbar made a mental note to compliment Willen, then turned his attention to the wooden chest along the far wall. The one he wanted was in the center. He reached into his pocket for the key, and realized he had left it on his desk. He sighed and snapped his fingers. With a small pop, the key appeared in the air, level with his nose, fell into his palm. "I want that power!" Mendenbar smiled at it and bent to open the chest. Willen was always after him, to have a proper set of keys made for the various doors and drawers and chests and hiding places in the castle, but Mendenbar couldn't see any reason to waste the effort when the key to the castle was all he needed to open any lock in the place. Right? Wouldn't that be great if you had one of those? Okay, I'm nearing 15 minutes, so I'm going to make another video and keep reading.